Mark, in your quarterly earnings report, ad revenue plummeted, and you said that you expect revenue to fall 50%, ad revenue to fall 50% in the 3 months that we're now experiencing. How's the New York Times?
Right. So we're seeing.
Go ahead.
We're seeing a really big, we think transient, but hit to advertising. The explanation is very straightforward, which is the massive, the almost the kind of medically induced coma which so much of the economy's gone into has a direct effect on advertising.
Is this happening across the board? It's certainly not just the New York Times. It's because when companies are closed, then there's nothing to advertise, right?
Exactly, that's exactly right. The key thing about the New York Times, though, is that advertising's nowadays, it was once in the golden age of print, more than 80% of the company's revenue. Now it's less than a quarter. And the subscription business is and the audience story is just very, very different. It's there we're seeing really quite astonishing growth.
So when I worked at the New York Times a long time ago and you started digital subscriptions, I was pretty skeptical, I have to admit. But you've now gained 6 million subscribers, mostly digital subscribers. What about smaller papers? Because they're certainly not doing as well as that.
Well, I want to say, I think moments like this extraordinary and terrible experience which this country and the world's going through, is a moment for news organizations and newspapers to find audiences and prove the value of trustworthy news. And we're finding by the million new readers for the New York Times right now. And I think that if papers have got enough, in a sense, enough cash on hand to keep going through the crisis, I think they can build audiences and build loyalty and build recognition. And I also think it's a great time to innovate. We're hiring still. We're still developing our digital products. We're still increasing the size of our newsroom because we think that in the end is the heart of a successful business model. Clearly, advertising is tough now. And I think anyway, advertising was looking suspect as a way for paying for quality news. So I would say to newspapers and news organizations of all sizes, I think it's a good time to start looking at the future and trying to develop and implement the future now, so that once we come out of this terrible virus, you'll be ready for the future. And I do accept, particularly for local newspapers, that's a very, very big ask.
So certainly the pandemic is accelerating changes in the news business, the way it's going to accelerate, changes in our commutes and our lifestyles and all of the rest. That's interesting. But I wonder about these local papers that have furloughed staffers, laid off staffers, required pay cuts as a result of the pandemic. Is that something that you've been able to avoid at the Times?
But yes, completely so far. We said in our earnings call we might see a comparatively small number of job losses over this next period. Small meaning really a very small percentage of the total. And in key areas like journalism and those critical digital product functions, engineering, data science, and the rest of it, we're going to go on hiring. I recognise that's very hard for other media players, but I have to say, if it's humanly possible, this is the moment when the world needs great journalism. It needs newsrooms working 24/7. It needs journalism now. And it's the moment to prove the importance and the value of journalism. So if there's any way of keeping the journalism going, the public, I think, will thank everyone, will thank every local newspaper which can stand by its community through this period, I think will be thanked by that community.
That's a great point. Yeah, and if you want to help your local paper, you can help it survive by subscribing. Real quick, Mark, I know there's been talk about you transitioning, maybe stepping down as CEO this year. Have you delayed that because of the pandemic?
Nothing to say about that, except to say that one of the things that we really believe in is the momentum of what we're doing. We've been really growing this business, changing this business, and we want to carry on with the momentum of that. So we really focus on succession planning for everyone, for my job, for the publisher, for the editor, for all of the top team. And what that means is when it's time to make a change, you're ready and you can pass the baton without losing a beat in terms of the momentum of the business.